Good evening. Welcome to Epiphany Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the Director of Music Ministry. This is our Music Minute, where we take a look at the hymns we'll be using in worship tomorrow, which is the third Sunday of Easter. We haven't been here in a normal format for a few weeks, so it's good to be back. We're going to start with our hymn of the day. That is Around You, O Lord Jesus. This is a Swedish hymn, and it talks about gathering around the table at the invitation that Christ gives to us. It's hearing the words of institution. It's receiving Christ's grace, consolation, and presence. And the tune was most likely a Danish melody. So this is going to be a little bit different variation of that. Around You, O Lord Jesus. So kind of a fun, almost dance-like thing. Next, we will move over to the piano for the rest of our hymns, and we'll talk about the gathering hymn next. That's Alleluia, Jesus is Risen. And this is not the first text that the author wrote to this tune. The original text was written to the tune for which it has its namesake, Earth and All Stars. But then Herbert Brokering was asked to author this version for Easter, and he nails it. He gets every imagery that you can get in there for Easter. And the tune was written for the 90th anniversary of St. Olaf College. That's the tune, not the text that you have here. The Earth and All Stars tune was for the 90th anniversary of St. Olaf College. Alleluia, Jesus is Risen, over on the piano. Almost a calliope there, if you will. Next, we'll talk about communion hymn, Blessing, Honor, and Glory. And this is actually, in our hymnal, the first hymn of the end time section. So it shows some importance of the Revelation text. This was written during an Australian music seminar, and its author was a worship leader, a songwriter, a pastor, and in his early career, he worked with Youth Alive in Australia. This is from the worship and praise style, if you will, and I think you'll enjoy it. And we know we like to sing it. It's pretty easy. Blessing, honor, and glory. And last but not least, our sending hymn, Let Us Talents and Tongues Employ. This text was written for the tune. You know, sometimes the text is written after or before the tune, but in this case, the text was written for this tune. And the text was written, and the tune composer, the text writer and the tune composer lived on the same street in Geneva, Switzerland. And so they worked this out together, and it was originally written for a Eucharist, which they called Communion Calypso, and it's based on an adapted Jamaican folk tune. This is Let Us Talents and Tongues Employ. All right, that brings us to a close for our first week back together. So we'll look forward to being together again next week for the fourth Sunday of Easter, and that will be Good Shepherd Sunday, as it always is. If you're joining us in worship tomorrow in person, that will be here in the sanctuary at 8:30 and 11 o'clock. And of course, as always, the 11 o'clock service is live streamed on our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining. We'll look forward to being together again next week.